Everyone, welcome back to Pine Hollow Auto Diagnostics. Real quick video today, 2008 Jeep Wrangler. Customer complaint was the brake pedal was feeling funny, then the red brake warning came on the dash, and he checked the fluid level and it was actually low inside the the reservoir here. So I'm like, well, that's not good. I mean, your pads aren't worn down or anything, and so I filled it up, pushed the brake pedal a couple times, and sure enough, we had a waterfall of brake fluid under the truck. And here is the problem. Front left brake hose right here is completely destroyed. Now, it looks really bad, like rusty and crusty and stuff. However, this shield right here looks like it's been worn away or cut or rubbed or something. And why would that be? I mean, it doesn't look like it's in the way of the wheel or anything. Well, in fact it is, because on the front right side you can see how close the wheel, the tire, gets to the actual hose. This is full, all the way to the lock, full right position, and right there the wheel is, I mean, this one obviously isn't touching. However, on the left side it was most definitely touching. So we have to replace the brake hose, obviously, bleed the system out. Pads are fine. And the replacement parts, yes, they are DORMAN brake hoses. Now, again, you could go to the dealer and get OEM hoses, but for a less than 10-year-old vehicle, this looks pretty bad. Maybe these shields trap moisture in here, and the rust gets really bad, but in either case, you have to replace the brake hose. DORMAN, I think, makes the replacement brake hoses for a lot of different brands. They're just reboxed, so even if you go to Napa, you're still going to get the same DORMAN hose. So we're going to put them on, see how they work. But just in case you have a Jeep Wrangler, watch out for these, for the contact between the tire and the brake hose. I don't know why they're just zip ties kind of floating around here. That's kind of weird. So someone maybe already has been here. The ABS wire is zip tied to the hose. But yeah, that's that. So before we get started, to avoid full fluid loss out of the system, right now it's dripping, helpful tip is to just depress the brake pedal and that will actually prevent all the fluid from going past the out of the reservoir and out of this broken hose. The brake lights will be on, so you can either disconnect the brake light switch to avoid battery draw, or disconnect the battery, whichever one's easier. This one might be pretty easy, just to disconnect the negative terminal so you don't forget to reconnect the brake light switch. But that's what I usually do. So let's get this new hose on here. So this looks like a pretty straightforward job. Let's get this ABS wire out of the way, cut some of these zip ties. Yeah, I mean, that was definitely not factory OEM spec zip tie in there. Let's see this guy. The new hose should come with new clips. There we go. And this guy is... oh, well, that kind of separated. Wow, this guy's kind of lucky that he brought it in when he did. I mean, if that blows off, then your front brakes definitely well, half of the reservoir gets depleted, and then you only have braking force on 2 wheels, which isn't good. There's definitely a fail-safe. In most cars, if you lose one circuit, it's one front and one rear wheel. Let's see if this nut will come out. Okay, so we gotta get this guy loose here. And this guy right here. Oh, what is this? Not a 13. Is it a 15? It is a 15. Piece of cake. That'll drip out right there, out of the caliper. And I told the customer that we're replacing both left and right brake hoses, considering how nasty it got in here. I mean, I think it was a combination, because you see the rust right on the on the rubber. That's terrible. Even if the wheel wasn't rubbing it, I think it would have failed sooner or later. So stuff like brake hoses, struts, sway bar links, anything that's symmetrical, just replace both at the same time to save yourself the trouble of doing it later, having a comeback and potentially unsafe situation. Even if it costs a little more right now, in the long run, the customer is going to be a lot safer, and I think they're going to appreciate that. Wouldn't you appreciate it if your mechanic looks out for you? I know I would. Let's see, is that an 11? I think it's a 10. That's weird. 11 millimeter, probably some standard size. Luckily it's not too rusted in there. Leave that guy loose. And now all we have to do is detach this guy from the brake line. And to do that, I don't know what size wrench this is. 13 is a bit loose. Let's try 12. It is a 12. And I see the line twisting with the fitting. Okay, there it goes. Not too bad again. These lines look nice and coated. Not like the Chevy trucks, which in 5 years would be a complete rusty mess. Just nuts and bolts from here on out. Yeah, in terms of rust, this thing isn't that bad, but man, that brake hose has seen better days, huh? There's that little piece. I'll let it drain out. And that's it. I think we're ready to install our new DORMAN H620926. And one thing you want to do is blow through the hose. I have seen hoses where from the factory that you can't even flow through it. So hooray for DORMAN. So that works. So we'll pop this guy on first. Get a little fluid filament in here. Okay. Good deal. Connect our brake line. So if you didn't have the brake pedal depressed, it would keep dripping out of here until the reservoir was actually depleted, and we don't want that. It'll just make bleeding easier and you use up less brake fluid. It's always sometimes tricky to get these fittings started. I think this one is in its happy spot. And we'll make sure after we put everything back together that this thing isn't rubbing. And it should be tight. I see it's also, the shock is right here and the wheel is right here, so you don't have much room to play with or bend this out of the way. There's that guy. Now this, I think it went like that, right? I think. You don't want to, oh boy. Where's the old hose? So the old hose went from here, kind of like that. The new hose should go in a similar fashion. And thanks to DORMAN, it looks like that's not possible. I think they just crimp these. So you see the problem here? We want to be angled this way, but the DORMAN is 180 degrees out of whack. The only thing you can do is freaking bend the hose like that? That sucks. Another DORMAN product that doesn't fit? You gotta be kidding me. Oh man. Seems like that's as close as we can get it with this really awkward bend in the hose. It wants to. So this elbow is bent the other way. It would probably work just fine. That's not the case here. So we need to frickin' twist this hose around. It's not pretty. And behind these whatever rubber protectors, you can't really do anything. That's it. That's how it comes. And I'm pretty sure I don't have the part numbers mixed up here. It'd be funny if I did. But you can see the clip here is obviously the facing the other way, so that wouldn't work. Oh, DORMAN. Nope, 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 nope. sucks. Well, I'm going to see if I can make this a little prettier, go from there. Well, I'm going to install it, see what happens. So make sure the this is torqued to spec with the crush washers, ABS wire. Okay, I guess that's more or less okay. Now this metal we can tweak a little bit, like Scotty Kilmer. Gonna bend it towards the axle so this hose is further that way. I mean, I guess it's not bad. We should also try turning the steering wheel the other way, see how she bends. This is really kind of crappy because it's going to start rubbing on the shock in the straight ahead position, which isn't good. And if we tweak this out, it'll start rubbing on the there. Yeah, I mean it's not that bad as long as it doesn't touch the wheel. I guess it's acceptable. How about that? So now all we have to do is loosen up our bleed nipple and release our brake pedal. You can either wait, let it gravity bleed, pump the brake pedal a few times. You guys know the drill. So for the brake bleeding, you don't need any fancy things at all. So all we have now is this bleed nipple loose and the reservoir is topped up. What you want to do is press the brake pedal all the way to the floor. You can actually hear the fluid leaking already, and then just quickly release it, and that way the fluid will just get drawn from the reservoir and we're basically done. There's no real need on, for the pressure bleeding or the old school method of tighten, pump, release, because unless you're replacing some long pieces of line, that brake pedal feels perfect. And again, you can loosen up the nipple, make sure there's no bubbles that come out. And once it starts dripping fast again, we know that there's no more air in the caliper. Okay, that's good. Put a little cap back on. So let's put the wheel back on, make sure it doesn't hit the hose here. So I got the wheel turned all the way to the lock, and as we can see, there's ample clearance now between the hose and the wheel. So this design, I mean, that brake hose, there's not much clearance between the shock and the wheel. It's kind of just there. So if it's not bent right, or if you get a stick wedged up in there and it kind of you know, tweaks the actual metal line, you got problems. So I might zip tie the ABS line to the hose in one spot here, just so it doesn't, you know, rub on the shock or anything. But I think we're done here. Now we're on the right side. Let's see how this brake hose has fared. Now it obviously hasn't been rubbing on the wheel. However, you get this rubber off. I just want to see how rusty it is in this fitting. Let me take it off and take it to the bench, I guess. Well, at least it's in one piece, right? I could try to cut it. Cut this rubber piece here. It is looking pretty crusty in here, guys, I gotta say. So, very good thing we're replacing both of these. Oh yeah, it's looking really, really bad in here. So this rubber protective boot actually holds in the moisture, and the fitting rots away without you seeing it. And then the hose eventually I think it'll just snap off. I mean, at this point right here, it's not rusted all the way through just yet. However, just replace both of them to avoid any surprises in the future. Yeah, so that one doesn't want to come apart. But again, it's symmetrical. If one side's on its way out, or if one side failed, the other side is probably not too far behind. Same thing goes for example, oxygen sensors. You know, on bank one, if you have a failure, the other one's still original, just replace both of them. You know, if the customer approves that, that's my recommendation at least. Then one oxygen sensor turns into 4. Or just, you know, leave them in and get some more diagnostic time when the other ones fail down the road. Alright, where's the DORMAN? Oh, DORMAN. I was almost thinking, you know, peel back these rubber boots and spray this thing with maybe some fluid film. I don't know if that would help it. Just, you know, just the metal part here. And kind of twist this guy on to prevent that from happening again. I really don't know what the best solution is. You know, on the OEM side, I guess that fitting still looks okay. It's just the one that was closer to the frame that was really bad. So let's pop that guy in there. Oh, rusty, rusty, rusty. Okay, cool. Make that guy up. Spraying things down with Croil before disassembly actually really helps. It is a great product. So Croil and fluid film and WD-40, that's pretty much all you need in the garage, right? So we'll definitely feel good about this repair. Well, minus the Dorman brand, but you know, if it works, it works. Now same deal with this hose. Which way do you bend it? So you know it goes here on the caliper. So when the caliper's over here, it's like that. So brake hoses. The only other premature brake hose failures I've seen was on a Ford Escape on a 2006 where the rubber just freaking cracked and exploded. Now there should be a recall for those, but there isn't. On these Jeeps and the Rust Belt, I mean, these must go. I don't see this being a one-off fluke or anything. Okay, it's good. Good and tight. We'll bend this guy in a little bit. Well, it should last him a while, at least until he decides to trade this thing in, or whatever the case may be. So yeah, the clips on there. That clips on here. Bingo. Now maybe a zip tie. Not bad, right? So I'm just gonna put a zip tie right about here. Now the ABS wire, I don't know, we should position it. It's out of the way. It's not on the wheel side, it's on the shock side. Right about there looks good. Boom. Done. Again, we'll put the wheel on, make sure nothing rubs. This guy's just kind of flip-flopping around. Again, pump the brake pedal a couple times. Now we're not dripping yet. There we go. Close that guy off. Pump it a couple times. good. Yep, no air bubbles. We are done. All right, well, that's it. Put the wheel on, make sure it doesn't rub. There you have it, 2008 Jeep Wrangler. Look out for the brake hoses. Just replace them if you live in the Rust Belt. No big deal. Maybe put a little rust preventative on those crimp fittings so you don't get premature explosions. Other than that, I'll see you guys next time. Thanks for watching. Bye-bye.